a big target for him. And then, of course, we also have news of Jarvis Landry, the Cleveland Browns, granting him his official release today. He now is a free agent, free to sign with any team. He goes into a wide receiver market that now includes Allen Robinson and Russell Gage and some other good young wide receivers out there like DJ Shark. So some big deals. And then Hassan Reddick announced moments ago that he's returning home to the Philadelphia Eagles. 3-year deal, $45 million. A lot of money for Hassan Reddick, but the Eagles feel like they have a big-time pass rusher that they are getting. You see the numbers there. And again, pass rush is at a premium. And Hassan Reddick is somebody that they believe can get to the passer and will be effective.
He gets paid handsomely, I should say. Let's take a look at the Steelers' depth chart now. As you look at Mitchell Trubisky, who has been penciled in as their starter, at least for now. The skill position players around him look solid, with former first-round pick Najee Harris, of course, the back, with some capable pass catchers, including Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool. We'll see about Juju Smith-Schuster. Pat Fryman with a nice rookie season last year. Mobility could be the key because that Steelers offensive line ranked 31st in pass block win rate last season. Mitch, a very good runner. Lewis, let's start with you. What do you make of this signing for Mitch landing in Pittsburgh? Not necessarily the locked-in starter, but the presumptive starter for right now.
Yeah, well, I think it's key to remember what Mike Tomlin said about what he wants out of the position, and he wants mobility because in Matt Canada's offense, they like to attack outside the tackles, out on the perimeter. They want to stretch you horizontally as well as vertically, and Mitchell can do that both with his legs as far as being a runner and as far as throwing the football on the move. His QBR almost double what it is inside the pocket when he gets out on the perimeter. And you just look at some of the clips of him when he was in Chicago. Look, this is against the Minnesota Vikings 2 years ago, and he absolutely just really gave this team a lot of issues on boots and design rollouts, and when he got to throw the football on the move, you can see here that he's just comfortable when you cut the field down for him, and he's able to throw short intermediate passes and just get the ball in his playmaker's hands. Here again, any kind of play action pass where he can get a design half rollout and get the ball out on the perimeter, that's his thing. We didn't see any clips there as far as his ability to actually run with the football on RPOs, but he has that as well. So really, for me, in terms of what they want to get done in Pittsburgh from a run game perspective, regardless of how deficient the offensive line was, and it was, and they're going to have to address that, and they will address that. They'll take care of that position as well. He is ideally what they want out of the quarterback position. We'll just see if he in particular can wind up taking this ball and running with it and really becoming their long-term solution.
And what a different Pittsburgh Steelers offense that's going to look like, right? All these years with Big Ben just sitting strong in the pocket, now going to a running quarterback. And it was interesting, and it actually makes so much sense why he wound up in Pittsburgh. But in terms of his overall market, we know that the Colts were interested in signing him. The New York Giants didn't really have the money to pay for a Trubisky at this point, but that was something of interest, of course, with that connection with Brian Daboll being the head coach and him be the offensive coordinator in Buffalo, where Trubisky sat behind Josh Allen and really gained a lot of confidence. And I am really interested to see what these contract numbers are going to come out to be, because Mitchell Trubisky has been one of the biggest stories over the last few weeks, which may seem strange, but when you look at the quarterback market outside those big, gigantic names, there were a lot of teams looking for him because they believe he still has some left in him.
And I can tell you this, I think he was in play in Washington, and one of the options that the Commanders considered until they decided to agree to a trade for Carson Wentz. And that would have been an interesting match, and I think that's a decision that every team has to make. Are we better off signing Mitchell Trubisky as a free agent, or are we better off with Carson Wentz trading picks? They felt like they were more comfortable with Carson Wentz, and that leaves Mitchell Trubisky to fall in line with Pittsburgh, which also knocks Pittsburgh out as a potential destination for Jimmy Garoppolo. Pittsburgh had explored that as well, so that's not going to happen with Jimmy Garoppolo and the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Mitchell Trubisky, as you said, Field, is the presumptive #1 starter now.
Yeah, he is in Pittsburgh after spending a year as the backup in Buffalo. Let's bring in our guy, Chris Mortensen, for more information. What more can you tell us about Mitch Trubisky and either the fit or the process leading him to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, Trubisky had a market, but it was a limited market. Obviously, the New York Giants with Brian Daboll, the old Bills offensive coordinator, now as the head coach there, but Daniel Jones is the starter. They're going to give him a chance there. The Colts' interest, I wouldn't say it was very high with Trubisky, so I don't think the love was quite there. And certainly in this case, we've heard Mike Tomlin, the head coach of the Steelers, say he was looking for mobility in his quarterbacks going forward. Trubisky gives him that, but it's a short-term commitment of 2 years. Will they draft one to watch how and see how this goes, or will they be in the market again in another year or two?
Our guy Mort is not going anywhere. Great insight on Trubisky. We'll have you back in just a few moments here, Mort. And yesterday, we were all enjoying a quiet Sunday. We were thinking to ourselves, the mayhem begins tomorrow. And then Tom Brady got on Twitter and said, I'm back. As a matter of fact, here's what Tom Brady specifically had to say. These past 2 months, I've realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands. That time will come, but it's not now. I love my teammates, and I love my supportive family to make it all possible. I'm coming back for my 23rd season. Tampa, unfinished business, LFG. This was a stunner, Shefty, even as someone like you. How did this all go down with Tom Brady returning to Tampa Bay after 40 days of being a retired quarterback?
Well, I think there are a few things. Obviously, he loves football as much, if not more, than anybody else. Number two, you notice he referred to his family in that tweet. So I think that his family gave him the blessing to do what he wanted, because I think he always wants to play. But when he first made the announcement, he pointed out how important it was for him to spend time with family, right? And so I think that it's a situation where you have a case where the family probably was on board. And I think the other thing to keep in mind here is that this announcement came Sunday night, right before players can enter into agreements with teams. And so Tom Brady was able to get on the phone with Ryan Jensen, his center, and convince him to stay. Tom Brady was able to call Alex Kappa.
And make a pitch, at least.
And make a pitch, but it was too late at that point in time, right? Like Alex Kappa probably is thinking, you know, these other teams are going to be interested. So he is able to help bring back some players. But I think it was important for him, for the Buccaneers, to know at the outset of free agency that if you come to Tampa, you get the GOAT at quarterback. And that obviously was one of the reasons I believe the announcement came last night and not tonight.
Timing is everything in life. Let's get more back in here. And more, what can you add about Brady's decision to return? Again, I'm still processing this. I could have sworn he was retired 24 hours ago.
Well, listen, when he made the announcement on social media, he clearly had acknowledged he was going to retire, spend time with family. When he did an interview with the show with Jim Gray, we know he also used that phrase, never say never. And the door always seemed like it was a little bit open. And I remember the day before the Super Bowl, calling Bruce Arians, and Bruce happened to be putting a steak on the Barbie. He might have had a cocktail nearby. And I told Bruce, I said, were you really shocked that Tom retired? He goes, yes, I was, because at the end of his last game, which is a loss to the Rams, he told me he's never felt better physically at the end of a season, and the statistics backed it up. In fact, that's who I cast my MVP vote for. So I think that Bruce Arians and Jason Light, the general manager, among others, always had that light kept on for Tom Brady, and Brady was ready to come back.
Good enough reason to keep the light on. He is the GOAT after all. Lewis, I think that when Tom Brady's your quarterback, immediately we say you're in the Super Bowl mix. But is this team, as currently constructed, because they got some work to do over these next couple of hours or couple of days, are they as good as they were last year when for a while we thought they might have been the team to beat in the NFC?
Yeah, as currently constructed, you couldn't say that because we don't really know what that construction looks like. Look, they are markedly going to be changed. Let's just use that for lack of a better word. In the interior of their offensive line, yes, Ryan Jensen is back. Ali Marpet retires. Alex Kappa leaves. That's big. Where does everybody try to pressure Tom Brady? Right up the middle, right? Well, if they're going to have two new starting guards this year, that obviously is going to lead to a lot of questions. We don't know which running backs they're going to have signed back this year. We don't know if Leonard Fournette or Ronald Jones is coming back. We just don't know yet. At tight end, is Rob Gronkowski going to come back now? Who is going to be the number 2 or number 3 tight end now, you know, as far as Cameron Brate still being on the roster. And then on the defensive side, look in the trenches again, there's nothing but questions. And Ndamukong Suh is getting older, he's a free agent. JPP is getting older, he's a free agent. William Golston's getting older, he's a free agent. At corner, look, I mean, they have some good players in the back, and Jordan Whitehead's going to get some money too. Carlton Davis, I could name 3 or 4 teams that'll probably be in the mix right out of the gate with Carlton Davis. So there's just a lot of questions about this football team. Yes, it's nice to have number 12, on your roster. Yeah, he is a draw for other free agents, of course. But is this team the same as it was a year ago or 2 years ago? You can't answer that question. And right now, if you did try to say it, I'd say there's a lot more questions than answers.
Yeah, based on conversations I've had with Tampa Bay, just over the last 5-6 hours, trying to get an idea, are you guys going after any of these big name guys that are on the street right now that are looking for homes? And the sense I get is they're focused on keeping their guys, and bringing them back, right? So we just saw that long list. They're working to bring some of those back, names like Gronk, obviously.
But it's 24 unrestricted free agents.
You can't do
They're not going to be able to keep everybody. They're just not, because all these guys want top dollar. Carlton Davis is going to get one of the top cornerback deals in the market. So if you opt to keep Carlton Davis and you opt to keep Ryan Jensen, well, guess what? Maybe that means you can't afford to keep somebody else like a JPP.
Sure. I mean, look, that's the give and take that comes with free agency. That's the give and take that comes with success. Yeah. And look, I mean, we already saw it. I mean, the number one right now, as far as the guy that they have lost to me, Alex Kappa leaving, the center of their offensive line taking those kind of hits, 2/3 of your guard center combination is now gone. Yeah. That's big. That's a big deal, man.
The biggest story right now.
That's a big deal
in Tampa is that offensive line, that interior line right now, just not there. Tom Brady needs to be protected. They're going to have to figure out how they're going to patch this up, losing those two significant guys who decided not to stay.
Puts that premium on drafting, which GM Jason Light has a nice track record of doing. Obviously, a lot of those picks prior to Tom Brady. Since then, they've been able to sort of fill out the roster with free agents and trades. Shefty, we have other quarterback news, and on Friday we saw a significant development in the Deshaun Watson situation.